Okay, back in the day on the Lombardi Line, we used to step into the general manager's office with Michael Lombardi. Let's have a little fun and head back to the office. And here's what we're going to do. Sophomore quarterbacks. And I want you to be as blunt as you always are about these names. Let's pretend you're having a conversation with an owner, which you've done a million times, and a head coach about these quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, we'll start there. He wasn't, the accuracy is crazy. Let's just run with the name Trevor Lawrence. What would you say about him?
I'm talking to the owner. I would say, look, I think we've done a really bad job of identifying what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, and then honing his fundamentals into those strengths and weaknesses. I think we think he is this incredibly talented athlete, which he is. There's no denying that. And he's got all the skill to be a great player. But all great quarterbacks have to be managed. All great quarterbacks need certain things. And I think if we just look down the road at Tampa, as great as Tom Brady is and his 7 Super Bowl trophies, he still needs a slot receiver, he still needs a tight end, and he still needs a nickel back because he's going to throw the ball in the middle of the field. We haven't figured out who Trevor Lawrence is. We haven't. We've asked him to do everything, and what we've done by asking him to do everything is we've gotten less production on a lot of things. So we need to nail this down. We need to identify and streamline who we are and who is he. Go to the blackboard. Write down he is really good at these 5 concepts in the passing game. We'll build a running team around him and go forward, and then get him honed into that so he doesn't make mistakes.
We're having an honest conversation about the sophomore quarterbacks here inside Michael Lombardi's general manager's office. Next one up, Mac Jones. What would you tell the owner? What would you tell the coach about Mac Jones moving forward?
I would tell him that, look, you can only control what you can control, and you're playing as if you're very uncomfortable. Last year you played and made mistakes, but you looked more comfortable. And at some point, your job is to not worry about who's calling the plays. Your job isn't to worry about who's orchestrating the plays. Your job is to execute the plays and handle that. And then do really good at that and really work hard at becoming better at that. And then stop trying to avoid mistakes. Start throwing the football with a conviction. And whether it means more prep time, more study time, whatever it means. But to me, you're playing tentative. To me, you're not comfortable, and you got to figure out a way to where you can get comfortable, whether that's with more meeting time with Judge, more meeting time with Patricia. But you guys all got to get on the same page because clearly your play is disconnected, and it reflects in you. It doesn't necessarily reflect in the coaches. It reflects in how you, because you're being judged more than they are. So I think that's where we got to stop. That's where we got to start with. And then you've got to be willing to just adapt your game to the game that's being played.
General manager's office with the sophomore quarterbacks. Next up, Justin Fields.
Look, Justin, we have figured out who you are. We're going to run a 6-back offense. You're going to be part of the running game. And we're going to put you in the running game, and we're going to call less passes. We're going to be able to run this, and we're going to get better at it. We're going to run the same plays over and over and over again. And you're going to need to work on your fundamentals, your techniques. You got to be very careful with the football. You've fumbled 11 times already this year. We can't have any more of that. Ball security is job security for you. You've got to get better at these simple concepts we're going to run, and you've got to make plays. Don't worry about the offensive line. We'll fix that as time goes on. But right now, we're a running team that features you in the run game, and we're going to be a college offense. Watch as much Jalen Hurts tape as you can because that's the offense we're going to run for you.
We're halfway through their sophomore year. We're trying to figure out if we've got a future with these guys. Next one up, Davis Mills.
Davis, I got to be honest. I've been really disappointed in your ability to kind of take the next step. I thought you were really having a better season, get the ball down the field. You make too many mistakes. You got to protect the ball. The problem you're coming into is you don't have a first-round pedigree. So everybody's expecting you to fall short because you're a third-rounder or become a backup. And I think you've got the skills to be a starter, but you don't play like a starter. And I think ultimately when you get an opportunity to make those throws, you've got to make them. And we've got to do a better job of blending and fixing the offensive line. I would tell the owner that I think this is a fundamental issue. I think our scheme is too generic. I think we're asking too little of the quarterback, and I don't think we have enough playmakers around him. We're too far behind offensively to really challenge. And it showed up yesterday. I mean, they dominated us from start to finish. We averaged 3.7 per play. They beat us up. They took it to the woodshed on us, and they controlled the offensive line. Some of it's on Davis Mills. A lot of it's on us.
Okay. I've saved the most interesting for last. Okay. You're the Jets. You're in New York. Well, you're actually in Jersey, but you understand. Your future looks bright at many positions, but the quarterback is a question. Zach Wilson, honest conversation with the owner and the coach. What do you say?
I think we got an immature young man. I think he can't handle success. I think the reason we're successful in the 1-4 games is he protected the football. He came back against Pittsburgh, but he's careless with the football. We can't have that. We're not good enough, in spite of how many A's we've gotten in draft, we're not good enough to overcome that. And we're not an elite defense. We're a good defense, but we're not elite. Like, we're not elite defense. So we need our quarterback to not beat us. And yesterday, the best quarterback on the field for the Patriots was Zach Wilson. He was the best quarterback on the field for them. Turned it over and made mistakes. We must eliminate that. Now, we're going to have to run the football. We have to do a better job of getting better offensive linemen. We're not physical enough up front, and that's probably going to happen all year. Everybody's going to, because Hall's out of the game, everybody's going to demand that we run the ball better, and we're going to have to do that. And we can't let Wilson beat us. We've got to stream down the game plan, come up with ideas on where he can be most effective, and get the ball out of his hands as quickly as we can. 25 passes is going to be the most, because the more he throws it, the more trouble we're going to get into. We've got to control the middle of the field with him and throw it. We've got to watch all the BYU tape and what he does well. Again, we need to identify what we're doing offensively. We've got to come up with a Zach Wilson plan that he doesn't beat us. And then, Zach, you got to be able to show competitive stamina. I know it's really kind of nice to make page 6, but at some point you're going to get paid on your performance on the field, not how many models you date or what your pitcher's being. Like, focus on the game. And frankly, when I watch you play, I'm not in the building, but I don't see the same focus that I think you're going to need that these other great players have had if you want to be a great player.
Focus is a great word for Wilson, because those 3 interceptions, it's almost like, where'd that come from? There was one pick
negligence.
Where it was negligence.
I mean, they're negligence. I mean, they weren't even like, I could see if it was a bad decision. They were just bad throws. They were careless. They were like, I don't really care. Here you go. I mean, the one on the sideline, he could throw that thing out of bounds. I mean, just throw the ball out of bounds. What are you doing?
Totally agree. That's the one I was going to bring up. Hey, by the way, so we were talking about the sophomore quarterbacks. We just went Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Davis Mills. There was a name that we didn't mention. Do you know who that was? Not even in the conversation. Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey Lance.